Well, if there are talks happening between the two parties, then the two parties need to come out with an arrangement to exercise self-restraint in conducting unilateral activities that are considered to be offensive against each other. And both parties need to pay due regard to their own national position and stop all these kinds of activities that are inimical to their respective national position. So I think that is mandated by the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea for both parties to come out with an interim agreement to refrain from doing unilateral activities that are harmful to not only to the region but harmful to each other. So I think that should be the direction of the dialogue that we should achieve. You know, that we have to put a stop to this kind of incidents, because if we don't put on hold, if we don't stop this kind of incident, then the situation will only escalate to the point of what I call unintended military encounter at sea. We need to prevent that, because things are preventable. These kinds of incidents can be preventable. So what we need now is preventive diplomacy. And, you know, I want to go back to the previous effort of the government from the time of former President Fidel V. Ramos to the time of former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, where they emphasized the need for development diplomacy in order for the two parties to manage their differences. I think we need to revisit those efforts, you know, to uphold the need for preventive diplomacy and development diplomacy in order to promote cooperation rather than conflict in the South China Sea.
But how can we expect to negotiate with China in good faith if we see these incidents happening? As to mention, we've never fired a water cannon at Chinese vessels. We have been using BFAR and Coast Guard vessels in our EEZ, and we have been seeing Chinese research vessels in our waters without asking for permission. How can we expect to negotiate in good faith with them?
Well, that can be done. China has stayed with Vietnam. You know, Vietnam used to suffer the same fate with China, but Vietnam learned how to deal with China. Now, Vietnam and China are now talking about shared future in their relationship. Well, I think we need to learn lessons from our neighbors from Vietnam on how they are dealing with China. And also, we have to learn lessons from Malaysia. Malaysia also has a problem with China, but Malaysia is getting along well with China. We also have to learn lessons from Singapore and even Indonesia. Indonesia has problems with China over the issue of Natuna, but they are able to manage their business. So if our neighbors can do that with China, why can't we? So there are existing exemplary practices that we can consider, and we just have to pay attention to these exemplary practices for us to manage our differences with China.